Monmouth Academy Building Committee. Acceptance of minutes is the first item on our agenda, minutes from the June 17th meeting.
I move we accept.
Seconds,
I'll second.
all in favor? This place, thank you. Next item is project status. That's all.
Well, I think from Steve's email today, did you see Steve Burton's email today?
I didn't.
Okay,
Because I was on the
so-
road all day.
Okay, so Darren, who is the super
Yep.
in charge over here, he had got an infection in his finger, which finally over the weekend burst and drained. So they have told him he needs to stay out of work for a week because it's an open lesion.
Yeah.
Right.
Open wound. So they're not gonna be on site this week. And then through those emails, I asked Steve where he was and coming up with a number to complete or to use what we had or to get it buttoned up. And he's got some of it, but he doesn't have all of it, which means on Wednesday, we are not gonna have a number, which essentially is fine with me to not have a number because we're just moving things down the road and things are gonna continue going forward. Because it's not, what people fail to understand is a project like this isn't working on your house, that somebody comes to you and says, oh, we need to figure this out.
Right.
And then you figure it out and you move forward, because that's the way it is with you and your contractor.
Right.
But this is like, you know, you have to go through layers. It's going through layers of getting of, you know, the numbers, because those are the contractors you're working with. And, you know, so if we don't have a number this Wednesday, we had a week of vacation essentially. Last week was essentially a washout. Last week didn't exist because of the holiday.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much across the board, doing anything in the business world. Last week, I didn't accomplish anything ever because most people were either mentally checked out or physically checked out.
Yeah.
They were not there.
By noon on Wednesday until this morning.
Yeah, or not at all for the week because they just took the week off, which a lot of places do. So, and from what I see in the construction world, essentially, that's just a great week that everybody's just off.
Right.
So, you know, there wasn't going to, for as much as I'd like to have a period at the end of the sentence, we're not gonna have the period at the end of the sentence on Wednesday.
So
So
you think it can be tabled
I think we'll table it because we don't have the information to move forward.
because of the holiday?
Yeah. And, you know, and Justin and I had that conversation last week about how the 2 weeks between select board meetings is not really 2 weeks.
it's not.
Because it takes you, you know, you've got Thursday and then maybe part of the next week, but you have to have the package together to put out there, have your notice for the week of the meeting. So it's really only about a week. It's not 2 weeks. I mean, it's. So he understands that it's just not enough time to get the information together. And because essentially we met with Steve Burton the day before the select board
Right.
meeting and then.
And he's still working on it now,
Yeah.
right?
And you have a holiday in there and you really just, it's just not enough time to come up with those numbers, especially when you're trying to reach out to people that might not
I
have been
wasn't-
in
yeah.
for a week.
And that's
And you were, you know,
for 5 days we were running with JD.
Yeah.
We didn't get to come out.
Exactly.
And I wasn't reaching out to people, so it's good that I can do that this week.
yeah. So, and that was just his email this morning and Andrew also emailed saying that he had an overlapping meeting and wasn't sure he was gonna be able to make it either, so. So Steve knows that we have a meeting this weekend, but I mean on Wednesday, but I personally don't think, and I don't think he felt he'd have the information ready to go.
No, and you can't hurry it because, you know, he has to get.
Do you think seriously you have, because in listening, I'm curious, because I know you two
Yeah.
would probably vote to table it. But of the other three, I worry.
No, I think Joe was the one that wanted to table it, because he was the one saying, do we even have the information to make a decision on this? So,
But- Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Kent though was very vocal about other things and Mark. So, okay, I would not want to go into tomorrow's meeting, or Wednesday's meeting, today's Monday,
yeah.
thinking it's gonna be tabled and all of a sudden we get broadsided, because is it legal for them to take this money away from us? If it was approved by the voters? I don't either. I mean,
I don't know, but it doesn't seem reasonable to me, but
because the voters voted to give us this money.
The voters approved to do this
to
project,
spend this money.
and that money, that's what it's for. They can't decide to, I don't think they can decide to use it to pay
Something
off
else.
the bond.
Or something else is my
They can't
fear.
use it for something else. That's
Yeah, well,
very
Right.
clear.
Yeah,
But, at the meeting, they were talking about paying. lost
yeah,
bond.
exactly. And that's what they're talking about, paying the bond off with it, not using it for something else, because that totally is off the table. That is
Right,
not
right,
possible.
Right,
But paying off the bond, I mean,
What do you gain?
what you're not really gaining
Right,
anything.
exactly.
You might gain a little bit in
And you're not
paying
paying
down the
off the bond,
principal.
No,
you're paying
the
on the
principal.
bond.
You're
Right.
paying on the bond.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
paying
Right.
principal on the
Right.
bond,
Right.
which by the time we use what we need to use to get the building buttoned up, it's not, I won't say what my father would say, but it wouldn't amount to anything.
right.
So,
Well, the thing is just so frustrating to think that, we, but also the townspeople voted to do this. And then suddenly have some people decide that they don't want that to happen. And that's just, okay, so I don't want something to happen on something else that the town voted for. Am I gonna come to you and say,
and that's my feeling, that this is a
Wrong
slippery
precedent.
slope.
It's a wrong
Yes.
This is a
precedent.
really slippery slope, that by saying this about this one thing
Mhm.
could open the door to so many things.
exactly,
Like people saying, oh, well, you paved Gilman and Packard as opposed to paving my road.
yeah,
So I'm not happy about that.
so, yeah, right,
So those are the things that, and like I was saying, that really upset the firemen. By saying what I said about the $60,000 to do a feasibility study, does that mean you're opposed to the fire department? You voted down the police card, does that mean you're opposed to
Right.
the police department?
Uh-huh.
Those were the points I was trying to make. It wasn't trying to
Slam
slur
anything,
or
right.
slander anybody. I'm
Right.
just making a point. But I
Right.
also, whether it was about this project that I care so much about,
right,
or about any project,
Right.
I would not want to go down this slippery slope.
Yeah.
Because I think it sets a precedent that you can't turn around from.
well, you've opened a door,
Exactly, exactly.
It will be exploited.
exactly.
And the Board of Selectmen and they are gonna lose all credibility
Credibility.
if you do this.
I know.
That's why I cannot believe that they would do this, because it just doesn't look good.
It doesn't. No, and I'm not going to allow myself to look that way or be opened up for any future issues when they could say, oh, well, you did this then.
Right.
No, I don't want to have that.
Mhm.
And I think Dawn made it perfectly clear that you can't leave that building unheated, you
No.
know, every winter.
Yeah,
So then they'd have to decide, well, we're just gonna sell it, or, and I don't know if they could.
And what a waste of money at that, I feel like
Yes,
screaming,
exactly.
saying,
You still
But-
have the bond.
right, you
Yeah.
still have the bond, they'll put all this money and look what you're doing to now ruin it.
And someone said it's a liability and not an asset, but you know, liabilities and assets often depend on who's in charge and who's running it.
exactly.
So, you know,
Yeah,
it can change real fast depending on who's in charge.
yeah.
You know, and the fact that people go, what's that gonna, why do we need that building? And it's like, I tried to say, it's a community building. You're gonna be able to have functions there. And people just, they don't wanna hear it. And it's, we were promised all this stuff with the Grange and you cannot use that Grange.
Really?
Oh, no. It's The theater,
Belongs to the theater.
It belongs to the theater and always did.
yeah, but they
But
had
they wrote
said
the
a
federal
grant.
grants saying that it was going to be a
Community
community building.
building.
And
And it's not.
as yet, wherever the paperwork, because Doug and I have asked multiple times for that paperwork. And it's,
Nowhere to be found?
Gee, you would think with this playground situation out here where it was federal money that it has to be. Seems like you could make a case.
I mean, with this, the playground stuff is all there. I know they have all of that information, but when it comes to the Grange, whatever was written for that building is not accessible. The paperwork,
It's missing.
it's not.
Really?
It might, well, it's not in our town office that somebody has been able to locate. So and I think the reason for that is because we were really never a part of it. We might have been on paper and written up that way to get the grant to move forward, but that paperwork that was written is in the possession of the theater at Monmouth. So,
Because my understanding was, the community building, in the event that there was some sort of major catastrophe, there'd be cots that would be set up in there that because there was a full kitchen, people would be able to stay there. Well, there's no shower. There's one bathroom and no showering. Yeah. And I've had people call the theater to say, could we rent it? And they've been denied.
Really?
That's hard to believe.
Mhm.
Geez.
I had to rent it the years we were there for Cottrell Taylor. I rented it on Mondays and, they still had access. They could go upstairs and use it, which was, concerning to me, but, at least was able to, but yeah, Cottrell Taylor rented it for several years.
All the select board did was make it possible for them to apply for the grants, like through the fact that we were the select board.
Yeah.
What they did, everything else, we just signed off on it. kind of thing.
And that would have been David Greenham, I think.
yeah, I think it was,
David.
yeah, it's David Green.
And it was, he died.
Steve Dyer,
Paul Bird.
Paul Bird, Steve Dyer,
Not Paul Ward, but
Steve Dyer.
not Steve Dyer either. It was,
He died.
no, well, the guy who helped, who was worked for the state and did the,
Oh, Mike Barron.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of good stuff.
But what I'm trying to get across to people is this is going to be
Yes.
available for you.
Community center.
Cause
Yeah.
it is owned by the town.
Right,
And
Right.
And a major catastrophe like Barrow hitting Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
you're gonna need all kinds of
Yeah,
facilities.
yeah.
That's right.
I mean, they could
Every-
fill that place up fast
Yeah,
and still
absolutely.
need other
Yeah,
facilities.
and I know the school does not want to have the voting take place
No.
over there because it's very disruptive. It means they have to close school for a
because
day.
of the security issues
Yeah.
of having
Random people.
strangers in the building.
Yeah.
And, during COVID, when we were voting over there, it was one thing, but, because they weren't even in school.
Right.
But then when they were in school, they had to have a teacher sit at the
The
door
door.
and to keep people from coming into the school and to keep the kids from going into the gymnasium.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
And this building, in anticipation of November, this is gonna be a disaster.
Oh, it's gonna.
You're gonna have
be so
people
tiny.
outside.
There's gonna be
waiting.
people, I mean, and it was that way at Cumston too,
Yeah.
because I remember a presidential election that was held at Cumston where there was a line coming in from the back parking lot and there was a line coming in from the front.
And you were
And
standing
they
on the
were
stair,
meeting in the
yeah.
Middle and standing on the stairs and taking a step at a time.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I remember that so vividly is I was standing in line with people that had never, ever, ever been inside Cumston Hall,
Right.
which was amazing to me. And I'm going, whoa, there's my grandmother's name, there's my great uncle's name, and telling people about the history of the building because they'd never, ever, ever been in there. And you were standing in line for over an hour.
Oh,
And you can pretty much anticipate that happening
This year.
this year too. But people will be outside
Yeah.
for the most part, not inside the building.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic.
No, but it's
just the
it's
fact of,
truth. But I will tell
things
you
we
that
can
I
get
know
out.
that people listen to these because these meetings are one of the most watched meetings on the YouTube channel.
Really?
Really?
and I do know because Rudy Johnson just had mentioned that he had
Started watching them.
started, and
Yeah.
but that he finally found,
The YouTube channel,
so
which
you,
is-
yeah,
it's a link right on the
Yeah,
town
yeah.
website,
so.
the
anyway.
little YouTube channel.
Sorry.
So, you know, it's been really an interesting thing to be involved with lately. So.
Great project.
But this, you know, with the stuff going on in town, it's been very, very tough times, hasn't it, Doug? So, yeah.
Do you suppose that the vote for this project would have gone the way that it did if other, you know, there's, you know, we have the salt shed, and all of these other things that, what?
Well, that's
is
the
it
thing.
Animus towards this particular project?
I don't think it is. I think that it's been, because I have talked to a lot of people that voted no for the money, but they aren't against the project.
I have two.
They
Because
just thought that we
they-
should have gotten it done for the amount that,
Well, not only that, but they were worried about their taxes. And
Right.
there's so much misinformation about how this would have impacted their taxes. You know, it truly was about $20 to $40, depending on what your home is assessed
Right.
at. So that's like going to
That's
Subway
annually.
one time, you know, over the course
That's
of
McDonald's.
the year, yeah.
You're right, you're right.
I'm not kidding, just today, $23.
Or going to get your donkey coffee, you know, twice
Right,
that
right,
week,
right?
you know, so that's the thing.
But then they feel like we're being flippant when we say that, when we say, you know, and it's like, we're not, we're just trying to make it so that you see what the how it,
How it really breaks down.
right, it's like, I'm not suggesting you go to Dunkin' Donuts all the time or whatever, but I'm trying to make it something that you might say, oh, yes,
You could easily give up.
right,
Yes.
right, or I understand where that, what amount you're talking.
Yes, yeah. And so that's where, you know, why I struggled so much about why, if we really should put this thing on the ballot at all, because if this had never gone on the ballot, we wouldn't be having this conversation about what to do with the remaining funds. We would have spent
Just gone.
until they were used up, and then we would have been right where we are now, trying to fundraise for the
Right,
rest.
right.
So that's where, you know, I feel bad. Well, maybe I shouldn't have even brought this up and tried to put it on the ballot, because we wouldn't be having this conversation about the remaining funds.
Right.
So,
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
exactly.
And
So-
there's the county tax, which there's a lot of publicity about that going up. And the school,
Yeah,
which is gonna raise our taxes a mill. Those two things will raise our taxes a mill,
Really?
yes,
as it is.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be, you know, trying to get some money, we're gonna have another election and try to get, I think, right?
I don't know. That's up to, you know,
Money
to
for the-
to
to
decide what,
pay for the
whether we
debt
should or
service,
not.
debt
really. So,
retirement and public administration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got voted down, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the admin, debt
And
service and,
so some things are in there, like doing the culvert
yeah,
on Wilson Bond Road
yeah.
for, Beaverbrook.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? Oh, trying to catch up on our audits.
Oh, speaking of which, I sent you that
I got
audit,
it,
you
yeah.
got that. Okay, so we were gonna
One
try
more.
to do, yeah, try
One
to
more.
catch up on the audits because we had
Is
gotten
that at a
behind.
standstill at this point? You can't afford to pay for the audit, the next
Because
audit?
that was in the admin, yeah,
It
exactly,
was in the thing that was voted down.
yeah.
What is the cost of the audit? To finish it?
12, 15,000. Isn't that what they usually?
Yeah,
It's a little higher than what I'm used to paying, but
Yeah, I can't
RKO
remember.
is always expensive,
Yeah,
far more expensive than others, but there's not as many people doing municipal audits
Exactly.
anymore.
Right.
Right.
That's a tough one.
and they say they keep us on, and that's the whole big thing. They said they'd keep us on, where other towns have lost their auditors completely and can't even get anybody else, so.
This $10 million grant that's just been submitted, I guess, or voted on by the legislature. Do you need an audit for that, you think, or?
I haven't seen what the requirements are, but I would say, yes, you probably will. So,
And it has to
does
be the
does the
immediate
auditor have all
behavior.
the information?
We're supposed to get our, this past audit
Yeah.
for 22.
Yeah.
This next meeting.
Well, I don't think it's on this next meeting, but it's completed, so I had sent it to Steve, so he's got it to move forward, and I think there's probably a lot of people in our same boat that they're not up to date. You've got audits, but you
Right.
don't have the most recent one because the auditors are so far behind.
Well.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, so,
I'm going to give a call, it's okay, to talk to, Ron Smith, he's an auditing firm out in Buxton. He does a lot of municipal audits. See where he stands and, what he would charge. If you don't mind. I know him pretty well, so I'm going for one.
We've had RKO do it. JC's done it for us forever.
They're always high,
And
but they always were one of the best firms you could hire, so.
RKO also does, the school, RSU too. So that's why maybe they're behind in their audit.
They're behind too.
Yeah, I mean, that Richmond wants their money.
They say they're owed like $800,000 or something, right?
Yeah.
It's a-
yeah, interesting. But nobody ever, I mean, see, that's the thing that's always driven me nuts, is that somehow the RSU always passes. But, you know, which is,
Because of the other towns.
it's,
Totally.
but they don't even, you know, the other towns don't even question it either. But they don't have a problem with voting down, you know, a piddly amount of money. And it's the administrative budget, you know, so it's apples and oranges. It's, you know, you're talking about peanuts as opposed to caviar. So in the amount of money, so.
It's always been, ever since I started being a select board member. I could hear Polly saying, talking down at the town office and saying, most people up on the hill always get what they want, you know? We have to struggle down here to try to get.
Well,
Right,
true,
yeah.
but
Yes.
that's true everywhere.
Oh, yeah, but look at Winthrop, they're going back, Lewiston's going back, what, for the fourth time or something like that? Winthrop is going back for their second time. Sabatis, I mean, RSU 4, they, last year,
It was
went
four
3 or
times.
4 times.
4 times, I think.
Before it finally was approved, so. I don't know.
All right, so the next, project status with letters from project supporters.
I received 4 today from Justin
Okay.
that had been dropped off at the town office.
Okay.
I had 2 emailed to me personally, 3 counting.
Do you get Toby's?
I didn't.
Okay, so I can send it to you directly. I'll pass
Yeah,
it.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it in either my personal, or she can send it to my personal email,
Okay.
which you have. And then, of course, there was the one that triggered my thought to do this from just somebody randomly saying, and I don't even know the name.
Facebook.
Not on Facebook. Rudy put that stuff on Facebook, but this is what made me think of it the night I got home from that meeting of 2 weeks ago on Wednesday by just a townsperson saying, you know, these are my concerns, and regarding the restoration project, I'm all for it, you know, and I'm like, maybe we just need to gather
saying that,
letters
right.
from people. So I do have more than 6.
I just dropped mine off. So
Well,
Or
great,
Tracy
so,
myself.
exactly, so there's more out there,
And I review.
yeah,
Yeah.
and, you know.
I'll touch base with Tove too.
And then I've got that file started with those, so there's definitely people that are. You know, and I've talked to numerous people when I'm walking and they're saying, well, you know, I am for getting the project done and for, you know. But people were just worried about their taxes and that's why it was voted down, so, you know. I think it's been people have construed it as meaning one thing, and I don't think that that's what that vote meant,
I
so
agree.
personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether I'm biased or not, I don't know, but anyway. That's that, so we do have that, and, so hopefully I'll have more to take to the meeting on Wednesday, but we won't have a number to take to the meeting on Wednesday, but I. See what happens.
I'll get ours.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, next steps. I'll bring it up now. I was contacted by Dyers today. They can be there Thursday. To be an optimum time because it's gonna be a little drizzly. That will help with what their
Yeah.
process is.
Yeah.
I told them to go ahead because that was signed before.
Exactly.
We had
And
done anything.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I think on the Facebook page where they talked about having electricity there.
Yes,
I think every time we can present something
Yes.
positive that's
Yes.
being done, that's in our favor.
Oh,
And
yeah.
getting that lead paint off will be a big
Another thing.
item.
yeah.
I agree.
So we can can we continue spending?
Doing, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they didn't say you don't do anything till we voted, so,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
No, I
The more
think
we keep
get that
moving
paint
ahead,
off and that'll make a
exactly.
big difference.
Yeah.
And
Huge.
they, you know, if Darren's not there this week and whether or not they need to use that lift, I would just reach out to.
I'll talk to Jim since now I know about Darren.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Jim and see if he needs to use.
To
some
use
of
the
that.
lift and then just find out however,
Yeah,
and
where
they'll-
the keys are.
exactly, and all of that. And, cause they won't be, you know, getting in the way of anything else that's going on this week.
Sounds good.
Cause I think that every step forward we make and the more progress we keep
Mhm.
going forward, just
Well,
keep on
that's,
and on.
that's what I thought, but just wanted to.
No, I agree,
Go
Dawn.
ahead.
That's,
Oh,
we
yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
keep doing that.
Mhm,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Who decides what will be the next things that they do? They'll finish the stairs. They've been finishing all the painting on the,
Yeah, exactly, and the trim and the fascia and all of that they've already got all that material inside for the
Right.
fascia anyway to get the exterior buttoned up in those places. It was just a matter of, I mean, that was a big topic of discussion, but it's like, well, that's already planned to get that fascia done and buttoned up, so.
so has any of the wiring inside the building been run?
Yeah, there's lights in the basement, lights upstairs and lights pretty much in there. They're there so that if stuff needs to go on inside.
Outlets and Stuff around that.
I don't think they've done all the outlets. They've just done basic stuff to be able to have temporary lights and places to plug in equipment and tools. So
And the heating system is,
not in there yet,
but
no.
that's
But
planned.
that's part of what he's working on getting the pricing on
Right.
right
They're
now.
Thinking 2/3 of that.
Yeah,
all three units.
Yeah.
Or a unit that's
can handle,
equates to two.
yeah,
units.
exactly.
The large tree.
Yeah, so the code enforcement officer said, I don't see a problem with you taking the trees down. Their planning board that shouldn't be part of their purview because that's part of, you know,
Right.
the safety of the building and it's not within shoreline, so it
Right.
doesn't matter what we take down and those pines are a threat. So I reached out to one person. They are going to look to see if it's something that they could even attempt to do and do it without charging us.
Okay, right.
Because that's the thing, how much work it would be and what would be reasonable to them. And when I hear from them, if they can't do it, then I'll reach out to the second person on my list, because I think the second person might definitely be able to do it, so. But, the code enforcement officer said, not a problem.
Goucher.
The first person I talked to was Shed Doyle. And so I'm gonna see, cause Shed is small with his
Mhm.
dad, they just are two people, whether that's something they could even do. And they don't, I mean, if they use the wood, it's generally used at Woodsman's Day, as
Right.
opposed to putting it through a sawmill.
Right.
So the second person I'd reach out to is, Josh Fournier. Josh Fournier, who
Yeah.
is an alumni and is married to an alumni of,
There'll be a third person would be, Spencer Richardson.
oh, yeah,
Limb to line or line
Yeah,
to limb.
exactly.
He is,
Yeah,
he's gone through
all that stuff.
all that, and he has the equipment. He works for CMP, but he also does this on
On
his own, and he's an arborist.
And so I know that,
And he's an alum.
yeah, and Josh Fournier, I think he does some sawmill stuff, so
Yeah.
those pines would definitely be.
Yeah.
Right.
Cause some of those pines are straight and true.
Is another.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
another alumni too, so
Yeah.
we've got some options, and I'll just.
Maybe they'll do it.
Maybe, if somebody said, well, I can do a couple.
Yeah.
Or if somebody else said, I can do a couple more, whether it's a combination
Yeah.
of a bunch
How
of
many
people.
are there out there?
A lot,
Really? A lot.
both sides, and I don't think that's what I wanted to ask you. I think that's all on the Academy's property as opposed to Tungsten Park property, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to step on our other toes of our other hats we wear. I don't think so. So,
Everybody maybe will have to access the,
yeah, they might have to access it through there, but I don't think that the Cumston Hall trustees would have a problem with that. Cause I think Linda is on board. Linda Johnston is the third Cumston Hall trustee. You got two Cumston Hall trustees right here. And the third one is Linda, and Linda's, as we know, pretty supportive of historic things, so as long as we're not stepping on Dr. Cumston's will, so. Yeah. The other thing, before we go to fundraising, Justin had sent a letter right before I left and I printed it off. So this is the email Justin had, following up from Beth Luce. It says, thank you for meeting me today. Per our discussion, I'm following up with an email and hopes to be pointed in the right direction and in contact with any selectmen or individuals who have an interest in this piece. So they're talking about the sculpture that's laying on the lawn. So this says that that sculpture was purchased by the Monmouth Middle School graduating class of 1994 as a gift to the school. Is that true? Did you know that?
Is that from David Bartlett?
No.
The graduating class of the middle school?
That's what this email says. I understand it is now the ownership of the town of Monmouth and not the RSU, yes, because this property is ours. I don't know what the,
I would talk to David Bartlett because he
Yeah,
wrote us the whole article about that
Yes.
and he said it was a grant.
exactly,
So
part of artwork.
yeah.
So this is saying, I would like to get this piece upright and in a position it can all be appreciated. Well, yeah, we have too. So my thoughts are, the current site, Cumston Hall or the beach. I don't know how the beach or where it would even go through.
No,
I can orchestrate helping move this, but we know that there's somewhere, the piece that it actually was the base is now gone.
Right,
Because I
they-
think it was
it was
destroyed
decaying, I believe.
when they did the demo.
Right.
Whatever it was sitting on.
Right.
It just.
Yeah, so,
That would have been the class of.
so Justin said, that he copied me and the select board and, the building committee. And Justin asked me to check with the building committee to confirm that this monument is not a part of your committee's scope, or what what did we want to do with
I thought
that?
it was part of our.
I thought it
And
we
I thought
were
it was gonna
in
be
front of
when we do the landscaping, I still
that
think
we were
it
gonna
should.
find it, put it back into
Um,
that area.
I think you should have Justin contact David Bartlett.
Yes,
And I know we've got those emails from David Bartlett,
Yeah.
Bartlett, don't we?
Yeah.
So I'll find
Yeah.
those emails from David Bartlett and follow up on this.
Yeah.
And I think I think Dan, I think we gave him the contact for the artist who actually
Yes.
created that. And I think Dan was gonna call to find out how you move it.
Yes.
Get some information.
We're gonna, so I'll follow up and find those contacts and those emails from David about
And you can just contact him right now. He's back from England, so
Yeah.
he'd be glad to talk to you.
the provenance of that sculpture, the.
Yeah.
How it went from A to B, yeah, or how it got to be here. So, cause I thought it was part of that arts grant. Yeah,
And this would be a good person to have volunteer to maybe help set it up when we do decide to,
yeah,
where the place.
yeah, exactly. So
Maybe even do fundraising for it.
I'll find those emails and then follow up on that. All right, so that just came in as I was walking out the door, so.
Dawn, I need to go to a meeting across the street.
yeah.
Could I just tell you in advance that I approve my vote would be to approve the paying of the one invoice?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And that I will do whatever you need me to do, to help keep going on this. Then I do know that we got several, on our alumni page asking for the address to send money for donation. And if I didn't respond, Chris did, that we gave the address and it must be in the memo line.
Okay.
So, you know, whether it's $2 or $200, whatever, just anything coming in showing support.
Yeah.
So we did see quite a bit of that.
And Rudy today told me he's following up again with some of the bigger people.
Yeah.
So Oji, Chris Domain,
Billy Gresty?
you can't think of the lady that,
Steve Kalenda.
no.
And I'm gonna follow up with Rick Preble too, who is the
Oh,
president of the
yes.
class of nineteen
Yeah,
seventy-four, who
74.
has done quite well.
Yes,
And,
yeah,
just say, you know, come on, Rick.
yeah, exactly.
So, but
You need help getting across the street.
no, I can walk. If I, as long as I don't trip.
Need help getting through the door.
No, I can get the door because, you know, my hip works really well. But I just, you know, like I said, I'm excited. I have clothing on today that.
And I
You want me to
plan
open the
on-
door for you? Can you?
I plan on being there again with that little PowerPoint and I'll add some of the stuff, more
Okay.
recent things that we've done, so
Perfect.
I'll plan on being there again.
Perfect.
And
As
then
I say,
we could
we'd
ask
like
for
to-
money for the bell tower and then we would have a plaque
Plaque,
for the bell
exactly.
tower donors.
Yep.
And that might get more interest.
Keep working too. Hey, thank you.
Glad to see you.
If you see your niece,
I will see.
tell her I do sing her praises. Okay.
It's late.
Bye.
Complain about
Yeah.
Okay, fundraising.
So this is after our last, or at one of the meetings, I went home and started like looking to see who could do bell restoration. I think it was
Right,
after
yeah,
we met.
yeah.
And then I found this National Bell Festival and they have a grant. So I printed off the paper, but I also forwarded it to Steve. So there is a possibility that we could get some money through this National Bell Festival, because they do grants for bells. Now, the man who did the appraisal of the bell and gave a whole breakdown of it. I emailed him to find out if he, you know, could possibly restore the bell.
Right. Did he
For
get the
us, for us,
evaluation?
yes, and he had just had hip replacement that night and was in the responded to me from the hospital, so, so he might not be able to restore the bell, but we are on his radar.
Yeah, okay.
And
all right.
I can't think of his name, but anyway, so, he told me to reach back out to him like in 6 weeks to see where he was.
Mhm.
So that's an opportunity too, for this, and we do have the whole entire, all the pictures and all, and it is
Yes.
bronze.
Yeah.
And
Is
it is bronze.
Hmm.
So it can't be painted, but it has to be cleaned up, the old paint removed and then waxed, like this special wax that seals the bronze. And it does have to have the clapper
Mhm.
fixed and also how it was attached to the,
The
the
cradle,
bow, the
yeah.
cradle or
Mhm.
whatever that it sits on. And you can see it, the bolt that goes up through there is just a bolt up through there and then it's bent over.
Oh, really?
That is how, yeah,
That's how it's been hanging there?
yes. Yes, there's a nut on one side, but the other side is just bent over. So those things all have to be fixed and, there was like, initials or something painted inside of it and whatever that meant, he didn't really know. But we do have a whole appraisal of that bell and the condition and what it is. There isn't really a foundry mark or anything like that on it
Okay.
either, so. We do know how old it is because it's the bell that was put up there in 1856 or 55 or whatever, yeah.
1803.
No,
not the
because that was a wooden structure that burned, and then what they built back was this triple brick structure.
Right.
And, so, the bell tower was up there from the beginning,
From
1856, yeah. So,
Well, there must have been, I mean, brass bells probably weren't that common. Would you say brass or bronze?
bronze.
I wonder if it was common to cast bronze bells or if there was very few companies that did that.
I don't know, definitely not something I know much about, so that's why.
There are probably people that would know a lot about that.
And that man that, did the appraisal, he's from Deer Isle or Stonington.
Oh, he's Stonington? Yeah.
I think, so, so I think that if we have the ability to get some money through this grant to restore the bell tower, because it's not only the bell, they actually will do money for the tower itself, so.
If we could match it, that
We
would be great.
could, really say whatever. Cause there was never a number attached to his,
You didn't price it.
no,
Repair.
and that's what I was trying to get from him was what he thought it would cost, because that's of course what they asked for too. We've got the all the pictures and the, history behind it.
What is the timeline? It's a timeline.
They don't say, doesn't
Any
say.
time?
Yeah, I think you just apply and hope that there's money there. So, to be used for it. So that's that one. And then I also printed off the facade grant, which wouldn't that be fun if we asked for TIF money?
It would be. Why not? I think that'd be great.
Wow.
Why not?
That's
And
right.
there is a precedence of giving money for facade after it's already been done. Because we did that for Cabin Masters last year for the Knowles lumber property. The work was all done and they were just presented with the bills for the door that they put in there, so.
I think that'd be great.
So
And
there
the
is a
tower really
facade
isn't
grant.
done yet.
No, the tower's not, the steps are in the process, so this is pretty basic. It's not hard at all, I think. And if we have the bills for some of the stuff that has been done. So, and we know we can match it because it's the maximum we can ask for is 12,500.
Yeah, so far.
So obviously, we can match that, so. This is the pretty simple form for it, so
I think it'd be worth doing. It
I
really
think
would
we
be.
need to, that'd be funny, but
Yeah,
the select board has to approve that TIF money.
you know,
I shouldn't laugh about it.
well, I know, but it's,
That's not good money, is it?
Oh, there's plenty of money in there.
yeah.
So this, I think if we just, I don't know if it's something you want,
I move that we apply for TIF
Yeah.
grant to help complete the
Yeah.
bell tower.
All in favor?
Oh, Lori's
and
not-
Laurie would too, but we've got a quorum, there's 4 of us here, so. Write down these motions and seconds. For the minutes. Sometimes I have to say, wait a minute, I should have written that stuff down, but most of the time I can remember it, but I can always go back and watch that.
And when this comes up for the select board to approve, I will be at the meeting. Okay?
And whether or not I invited Rudy to come to this meeting tonight, but Rudy said it would probably not be in our best interest, and tends to get a little fired up about things, so,
He doesn't feel well either, so. Nights are hard. on him.
yeah. So, you know, Rudy's been out there.
Where's he live now?
Rudy lives on 135. He bought that property that,
Between the ponds.
yeah,
A big granite rock there that's in between the ponds.
so
You
he.
just have to count that.
Yeah, exactly. Right on 135. He bought that land, well, it was.
Yeah, it's just before the Chandler farm, on the
Yeah,
left,
exactly.
as you're going out.
Essentially like across from where Camp Copsey
Yeah.
goes down. He built it's a ranch, and then he's got all of his granite and. I have a lot of his metal work too, because he gave me a lot of things that he didn't take with him down there, so.
It's close to Wheat Drive. If you
Yeah,
know where that
yeah,
goes down. I think probably.
But he's on the Anabessacook side.
Yeah.
So this is that application. I didn't print off the whole thing, but application checklist. I mean, this would be pretty simple if we filled this out and so I don't know. I don't know what my conflict is being on the select
Do you want
board.
me to fill it out?
Cause you've done TIF stuff
For the museum.
yeah, so this
I'd be
is
glad to
that,
fill it out.
and then if you need any of the other stuff, this page right here, I don't think it's a request for bid, but I don't think we need that at all, but whatever you need to get from Dawn, Dawn can give it to you.
We have to call you to get the right address. I don't know if I wrote it down.
So this is 115. The academy is 115,
Okay, that'd be wrong.
yeah, exactly. And I always call it street, but I think it's road.
Academy Road.
Road.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, and Irma was used to call Blue Road, Blue Street
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah,
And we said,
no, it's Blue Road.
Exactly.
The other thing that I've been thinking about doing is, those of you that watch HGTV, Hometown, there's
Mhm.
Erin and Ben. Ben is, you know,
Yeah.
huge and Erin's tiny. But she is quite an artist and she has done huge murals for her community in Laurel and also for the communities that they've gone in and done things for. So I thought that concrete wall that we left is quite an area that could have a mural painted on it. That would be a backdrop for that patio for eating and events and things like that. And also people taking selfies, which I don't do, but lots of people take pictures in front of things. So I was gonna take some pictures of that area over there. And there's a contact to send questions to or whatever. And hopefully it will get to her to ask her then if she could think up or design a mural. And then if we got that template, I mean, it's essentially pretty easy for anybody that's done mural work to enlarge it to project onto the wall, that you sketch it out and then you paint it.
Mhm.
We could have a paint party and
Good,
paint
yeah.
this mural.
Yeah. That would be
High
great.
school kids or something like that.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of people that would have fun buying right into that. And if in reaching out to her, they decide to make any other monetary donations, it would be wonderful. So I'm gonna go snap some pictures of that tonight before I leave. And
Did
I'm
you say they
gonna,
were gonna cut that wall down a little though? or-
I think there might be a taper over on the right
Okay.
hand, you know, if you're facing that wall, if you're facing.
Where the,
Yeah,
where
Yeah.
the
If
ground.
I'm standing on, I still call it the home ec floor, the floor of the home ec room, and I'll take a picture of that wall in that area and then take some pictures of the academy, which we have a million of them anyway.
Mhm.
But I'll compose a little email with a question to ask her if that's something that she would consider, you know, doing for us, because I think that would be a really fun little addition to that. And,
Yeah.
you know, how people are addicted to, I'm addicted to certain of those shows.
Oh,
No, it's
Only certain
community-
ones.
Get community support. That's what
Exactly,
we
having that community
Yeah.
support for that. So, and what she's done for that little town in Mississippi has been pretty amazing. So. And the buildings that they've restored there and saved have been astounding. Yeah,
They
So
did an
that's
amazing
one-
job.
little thing that I'm gonna work on because
You have to give her ideas or will she come?
I
up
think,
with-
I mean, mainly give her some background information about the school and about what Monmouth means, apple orchards, farming,
Mhm.
corn.
Yeah.
Cause those were the things. The one thing I can't get over right now is Wilfred's house is now listed at $1.8 million.
How much
Wilfred
land
Cross.
was with that?
Only 2 acres, less than 2 acres, not even the
Which
beach.
house is that?
533, 135. So you know where the snowmobile clubhouse used to be, in that old farmhouse?
That was falling apart and they
Yes.
put it back together again. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
It's
And it only came with
It's
2
for
acres.
sale. It's only 2 acres, 1.799. And I lived across the street from that, because I lived in that little house across the
Across
street. And Wilfred and I, and my grandfather used to hoe corn in that field
Right.
where my house was.
Mhm.
Because my grandfather lived on Sanborn Road,
Mhm, right,
obviously, and worked for the Frost hoeing corn. And all that corn used to, but they didn't keep themselves, went up to the center of town to the corn canning factory, so.
They might take less for it.
I know they might take less for that, but it's crazy, and
2 acres.
I'll tell you, I was sad though, because it wasn't the restoration I do, but, there are still beams and the woodwork of the
Mhm.
staircase going up, but, Wilfred would not believe what that
No,
house is like
no.
today, because Wilfred essentially lived only in the elm.
He sure did.
And
I
then-
told him that big barn was needed to be fixed and he said, oh, no, it's fine. Then,
They tore it down.
wait, no, it fell down.
Oh, did it fall
Did it fall
down?
down?
Down, and he had a beautiful hay wagon in there.
Oh, really?
Oh,
See, I was
that's
trying to
okay.
picture that, because I've been gone from there so
Yeah.
long.
No, it fell down.
Because I used to be able to look at the corn crib out my kitchen window,
Mhm.
which is now.
Yes.
If you have spoke to Guy Piper about his house, as it's falling down around us, it's a beautiful house.
Yeah, I know. You can't, you know.
Yeah.
you know.
It was just like with Wilfred, but I mean, those are the things that when you think about what this town has meant, or what you would describe to people, it would be corn, apples, lakes, Humpston Hall,
Mhm.
and the school, because of the people that have gone through that school. And I'll mention those people that we always mention.
It wouldn't hurt to include the First Nation. I just got back from Montreal and they really did a lot of tributes to the First Nation people.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it's funny, Rudy posted a picture of General Howard. I didn't realize he had lost an arm.
Yeah.
So he said it, and the school was under attack by rebels. Good old Rudy, it was just funny. But you know, It's pretty amazing. And to think that Howard University is because of me, so. So, yeah, so those are the things I'll mention in the email about, to give her ideas of what the mural would have or include, so.
Great idea.
So that's the only other little thing, and you and I know, we knew we were gonna get together to talk about who else we need to reach out to. For business people and,
And I was wondering, the donated, equipment for the kitchen area, the kitchenette area, maybe this, after everything is done in there, we should ask if they would just bring it over and store it there, so we have it.
or even if we, if he didn't, I don't. Whatever, I mean, we have trucks, we have trailers, whatever we need to get it moved.
Yeah, because then
Yeah.
that would be something you could use for matching grant.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's worth, you said maybe $20,000,
Yeah.
so that could be, you could say, yeah, this was donated.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and once I know that it's buttoned up and safe, then
Right.
if we can move it over here and it won't be in the way
That's
Right.
right.
to move it from one spot to another.
So what does it consist of? It's refrigeration,
It's-
sink,
Yeah, it'll be a refrigerator and a freezer,
Okay.
stainless steel tables that you can set your
anywhere, right?
crock pots or chafing dishes on or whatever.
Mhm.
A dishwasher, a hand sink and a slop sink.
Okay, cool.
Good.
And I think, things like paper towel dispensers. Paul gave me a list of and that's what I had
Mhm.
sent to
Right.
Carl and said, this is kind of what we need.
Yeah,
And he said, yeah, no problem. So whether or not it's new or used, it doesn't matter.
No.
So, yeah. The
That's awesome.
stainless steel, it
lasts forever.
takes the beating, so, definitely if we think that the building is such that we can move that stuff in there and it's okay. I mean, the only thing I wouldn't want to put in there is anything that could risk freezing, like a dishwasher if there had been water in it, or a refrigerator. Or,
I mean, you can ask Carl.
yeah,
He can check it out.
exactly, so,
Well, the
Yeah.
goal is that we are able to keep it above freezing.
yes, exactly,
However,
yeah, yeah. If we don't have a generator, then those are the things that we don't have,
right.
so. Did you have anything else?
No, we just need to get together, there's
Yeah.
some stuff coming up that I want. On the state grant, I gotta find
Yeah,
the dates on that and how we
Yeah.
get them done. We have the matching funds, so that would be really good.
exactly,
A lot of the banks are coming up again, Andy Scoggin.
Yeah.
They have an August date. So,
yes.
I'll have something ready for them.
Okay.
I've been trying to get hold of John Simcoe.
Yeah.
Probably. That's fine.
Yes. So,
All right, we all good?
Chris,
yes.
at our age-friendly meeting, remember Chris Bryant? He
Mhm.
asked about
Oh, yeah.
having people who volunteer to come and work. I know Chris has some building skills, because he fixed up that house over.
Yeah, he's done several different houses, and that's the thing, because I think Larry Grenier is interested in some sort of, volunteer stuff, but I don't know what they can or can't allow, because materials is one thing, donating materials is
Right.
perfect. Anybody that wants to donate materials, great, but I don't know how you would ever handle donated labor, because if it's, if they showed up here and Darren doesn't know their skills or what their
Right.
skills are or what they can or can't
Right.
do. I mean, it's one thing if people like Jimmy Hopkins say, I'm gonna donate my time and my
Equipment,
bulldozer,
right.
exactly,
Right.
that's one thing, but it's
Mhm.
different having people show up saying, I can hammer nails, because they're the insurance, on all those
Yeah.
considerations, that's what's really hard about municipal projects. It's not like somebody volunteering to work on your house, so.
Well,
Talk to
there's-
Nickerson. Find out what his thoughts would be on
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't even know who, would we talk to Steve about that? and
I
say,
can
how
ask
do you-
him, I can
yeah.
do that, I can ask Steve.
Once we
about
know
how-
what people
Right,
saying they want to be able to do. I
Right.
mean, it's one thing to do landscaping stuff, but
right. Constructing walls,
yeah,
hanging sheetrock, I mean, Habitat for Humanity does it daily.
yeah,
With
exactly.
volunteer.
Yeah,
help, so-
exactly.
I would think like a licensed plumber or a licensed
Yeah.
electrician, it would probably be okay.
And
with the
that's why
license, but-
I think that there is a licensed plumber that loves this school and would be happy to
Yeah.
help out, and
That
that
would
would
be
be Danny.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think when we got to that point, Danny would probably be helpful.
Okay,
And I actually have a bunch of stuff in my house that Danny left there. PVC and stuff that, you know, I'd be happy to move in this direction, so, cause that stuff is expensive,
very
Yeah.
expensive.
so.
So I can find out from Steve.
Yeah, find out about that volunteer.
All that stuff in town was built with volunteers.
Right.
Maybe Gumpson Hall, maybe, I know this building out here in Scoggin, or, Cocktawagan Hall,
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I think that was volunteer
Yeah,
stuff.
so,
Maybe
any,
even the front of the academy might have been
yeah,
volunteer stuff.
and just see his feelings on that, cause I don't know, I just don't know
Right.
how any of that works.
I don't,
you know?
I'm not sure either as far as labor goes, but I'll ask and, you know, and ultimately, at least for the moment, money will be running out.
Yeah,
And so how do we handle it from there?
yeah, exactly, and how do we handle it to restart with them?
Right.
If we get donations enough to say, okay, we've got 250,000, or we got 300,000, or
Let's
whatever,
do this,
let's,
Get back here and.
can you come back, or
Right,
we don't wanna lose you, that's the other conversation, we don't want to lose them, especially Darren, and because I think that they've all kind of taken a shine to the building
Yeah.
and wanted to see it through to the end, so.
and they've done that with other projects, you know, when you have hop, skip and jump.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think those are the big things that we need to know going forward, how we'll
Okay,
handle
yeah.
it. And Paul Lewandowski too, I mean, obviously, he's not gonna just say, you guys are on your own.
Right.
but-
Right, next on the agenda is monthly invoices, and what I have for this month is Paul Design Project for $1,430 for professional designer, principal. Professional designer is $1,150, principal is $80 for a couple of hours, and then so $1,430. Have a motion to,
Make motion. Hey,
I'll second that.
all in favor? Thank you. And I will follow up with Jim Dyer. Talk about what he needs, if he needs to use the lift. He has access to the master keys. If not, we'll have to get him from next day. If he needs to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people ask me, what's that ugly paint on the side?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you get rid of that?
get that off, take a picture of it, put it on
Yes,
Facebook,
right.
and I think that will really make a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be so
yeah,
nice.
every time they send out those Rankin reports, we take those pictures and
Yeah.
put them
Put 'em on
onto
there.
the website,
Perfect.
like Jeff grabbed them and put them onto the
Mhm.
Facebook page and
Yeah,
said,
that's
"We've
awesome.
got electricity for the first
Yeah.
time.
And that,
You know.
that really impressed me. I said, this is exciting.
Yeah,
So,
it
Oh,
is.
really
It does
It
get-
is exciting, and
It
that's,
is.
I think that's the thing that makes me the grumpiest, is that we've watched it and it sat there and, you know, we've taken it apart and, you know, done all that we can, and now we're at the point where we can put it back together again, and
Yeah, oh, I know.
All right, do we have any select board updates, answers, or anything like that? Besides what we've
I don't
chatted
have
about
any
already?
answer. I wish I had answers, but, you know, I say just keep trucking ahead,
Yeah, that's all we can do.
so,
We're tabled.
yeah,
It's like for
yeah,
Really, we are tabled. We have
Yeah.
positive attitudes.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so the next item is setting the time and agenda for the next meeting. To be in August. So the next select board meeting is Wednesday, is the tenth?
This, it would be, yeah, and then August 7th and then August 21st, so.
What, you have a Wednesday meeting?
So for Monday.
But I was looking, I'm trying to base it on the select board, so we can, yeah.
So either the 5th or the 12th or.
Um. So the meetings are the 7th and the 21st, so
Yes,
we would probably. I don't know, either the. Well, probably the 12th. It's the
Yeah, the
5th, I think, trying to get
yeah,
things. We've already
The
missed
invoices.
we've already missed the opportunities to submit invoices, so why don't we say the 12th
yeah.
for then, the. Pre-select board meeting on the 21st.
Just double check the town calendar for that. There's nothing on there right now,
Okay.
so.
So I'll send that out to Lauren. And we have no public,
There's no public this time.
so
Thank goodness.
so we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Awesome.
So,